Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and before I get into anything, I got a new gift today. You can see that. Yeah, I think I've shown enough. It's an alien book into Charybdis, I think is how you say it. I've been poisoned by the police because I remember that song. What was that song? Wrapped Around Your Finger when he says Charybdis. I think that's how he pronounces it in this song. And I was listening to an interview from the Alien Theory channel where they actually interviewed the author Alex White, who also wrote another book. I think it's called The Cold Forge in the Alien World. Great book as well. And they were saying Charybdis. I think that's closer, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that reminded me because that interview came out today, which is February something or other, 24th or something, that, hey, I had pre-ordered that book. Maybe it's in the mail. And I go out and look at the mail and yes, the package was there. So I will say this is a little annoying. And I thought maybe I should return it, is the binding right at the beginning is like broken right here. And I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Come on. I mean, it's not the author's fault. I got dinged on some reviews of one of my books where the person said the content was good, the author's good, but the images and everything were really off, and they like padded the book and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? I didn't have anything to do with that. Go bark up another tree or something, if you want to call the phrase. So I don't blame the author. The publisher, I hope other people are not seeing that same issue. Maybe it was just an unfortunate thing with this one book. But I'm like, as long as, I keep it a little careful, and then I'll try to maybe glue it or fix it a little bit when I'm done. But in any event, I'm looking forward to reading this book, and I've now got it on the top of my stack. I am currently reading A People's History of the United States, and that's taking me quite a long time to get through it. But once I get through that, I'm diving into this book. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about in this episode? I did fix the things in the CSLA analyzer. I did have to go to the Discord channel and kind of get an idea as to how do I do this. Fortunately, like I said, I think I stumbled across that one IDE fix that did it, but I actually looked at how that's done in source code and I couldn't make heads or tail of it. The problem that Roslyn does is they seem to have a lot of internal classes that are inheriting from other internal classes that are using other things that they do. And it's like trying to just see, what do I really need to do this was pretty difficult. But fortunately, Cyrus, however you say his name, he said, just use a syntax generator. And for whatever reason, if I go back to the analyzers here and I go to, what was the one I was looking at? I know I can find out. Yeah, let's do syntax generator dot, because I did it in a couple spots. So this one. So he said, use a syntax generator, and don't ask me why, but doing it this way, where I put in the static and read only and public, works like a charm. Works like a freaking charm. Now I'm almost positive I checked for this, but let me just run this right now because I'm a little curious to see, did I do this the correctly? And I hope I did. Almost positive I did. Almost positive I tried to run this and it did work. If it didn't, then I'm going to have to update the PR, but that's okay. Thing is, I think it doesn't matter if those modifiers currently exist or not. It's going to get rid of them. So, but I could be wrong. Okay, so property definition tests. Let this fail and get to the point where the code isn't working. Come on. Show me those red squiggles. Show it to me. Come on. You know you can do it and you know you want to do it. You're just being slow and you're not getting there right now. You gonna do it? Gonna happen? There we go. Okay, so the only thing I need to check now is it should be, it just puts in static and it keeps the public. Perfect. Now if I do this, Yeah, it doesn't do like public private. It doesn't. Okay, perfect. Okay, I almost was guaranteed in my head that I had checked that, but I want to make sure. So use a generator. It, for some reason, handles the trivia far better than what I was able to do. And there was another place in the code where I did that with trivia from, and I noticed it had the same problem. So I fixed that there as well. There's another place in code where I'm still doing it, but that doesn't run into the same issue. So I said, I'm just going to leave that code the way it is and not try to figure out how to do it with the syntax generator. It does leave me a little irked because I don't understand why it wasn't working the way it was there before. Like it should have. And sure, I could go through all this stuff and look at the modifiers and with accessibility and see how it's actually building the new node if I really care. But honestly, at this point, I don't. So, and I already noticed that Rocky already merged it. So that's good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is switch gears and go into rocks for a little bit. And I've set up a 6.0 milestone, and I put some things in there that I have in here, but not all of them. Some of these I think I might just eventually just close because I'm like, they're just not worth it. But this is procuring and curating the backlog. And so I put a couple things in for milestone 6, and it's a 6 because it's a breaking change. That again, this is something with Semver that people, they still associate that first number with, ooh, it's a big fix, it's a big change. It's like, no, you get away from that. That actually means that you have a breaking change. And I'm doing this on purpose with this one, which is the RockRepository. That's the first one I'm going to do. I should do the bug, but I'm going to do the RockRepository one. So the problem with this is I realized when I was building this is that you couldn't do RockRepository.create and then have the create in here and then add the result to this and move on. That didn't work because RockCreate is actually in the assembly that has the code generator, so it's never going to run that. So I forced users outside to actually call RockCreate here. It works, but it's not that good. Okay. So what I really want to do is have this so that add goes away. There's a change method that the generator is going to notice. So in other words, if I come into RockCreate generator, which we don't, and the receiver as well, we don't care about makes. Makes are not tracked, okay? Because they're on our expectations. What we're going to have to do in here is say is if the identifier is and identifier is this and blah, 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 or the identifier is RockRepository and the name is create, then look in this and see, is that actually good? Then basically let it trip out and do all the things to generate all the code, except it's going to be done with what's passed into the Rock receiver or the Rock repository. I'm sorry. So without further ado, let's just make this happen. Okay, so this is 142. So we're going to go into Git here and say 142, add, make add create. There's all these words that are already in rocks and I'm like, I don't want to call the branch that. So update rock repository. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just do it, Jason. Move on. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. All right. So we're in our branchy branch and let's just make this happen. So we're going to let's first add it, make sure that works, and then I'll remove the add. Okay. I've got like a itch on my back. Oh, I know how to, hold on. The advantages of being a drummer. I just grabbed a drumstick and then I walked back and I realized, yeah, I've got these golf clubs sitting here. I could have just done like this, and then that actually is perfect. Oh, that's actually really perfect. So you can get the club head like a, sorry. Why you're sitting there going, why do I have clubs behind me? I don't know if I talked about this in a previous video, but this is one. If I can get I'm going to actually switch back to obs to make sure I've got this in here so it's showing up correctly. That's Thomas Industries. Okay, and that's where my dad worked for 41 years. They made air compressors. And this was one of his putters that he got. It's a graphite shaft. I tried using it when I played golf, and it just felt weird. I don't know why. That's about the best thing I can say. And then he also had this gold putter, which, believe me, this is not gold. Okay. This is, at least I really hope it's not gold, because if this is gold, I'm like a extremely rich man. No, it's not, because it's not heavy at all. Maybe gold plate. No, that's not. But it was another one of a putter that he got, being a salesperson and working trade shows. He got this from somewhere. I don't know where. And then the other one I got behind me is, this is his old sock cover. If you can believe, I remember my dad very well, and that aligns with his sense of humor. This is actually this is a literal wood. Okay. So way back in the day, and I say that because when I started playing golf, that was like early 80s. And this is what the wood was. This is a driver. If you look at drivers now, they'll dwarf this. The head on this thing is so small. This is probably like a 5 wood at this point. It's just ridiculous. But this was a literal wood head, and I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that those clubs, even though I haven't played now in almost 8 years. I just, family, time, all that other stuff. I just lost interest in it. And for me to even be remotely somewhat decent at golf, I have to be practicing like 2 or 3 times a week, going to a driving range. And if I play it, I don't want to suck. I don't want to be completely awful. And that's where I was going. Is I said, I know I'm never going to be a pro. I just want to be able to play decently, and I just don't have the time for that anymore. And really the energy or the desire. I much rather just go onto my bike and go bike for 20 miles, in good weather. Now that said, when I did play golf, I always carried my bag and I always walked. I never took a cart. So you get a fair amount of decent exercise that way. Try carrying a bag around like 4 or 6 miles or whatever ends up being, on a hot day for 4 hours. It gets to be some work after a while. And, I think that actually definitely helped with the weight management. I think when I stopped, and that was not helpful, but now that I do a lot more biking, I'm much more interested in that. So anyway, all came from my back is itchy. And then I turned into Grandpa Simpson and started talking about putting an onion on my belt, because that's the style at the time. Okay. So what we want to do is have public, what do we do in Rock here? We basically want to do this, except not static. So we want to say public expectations create of T, where it's that. And then we're going to make this a block body, because we want to say var, we want to say var expectations is equal to this. Okay, then we want to put this dot rocks add expectations, and then return expectations. That's it. Okay, we just add this one little piece here, so we're going to keep track of it. Now what we need to do is go into the receiver and say, and either it's all this, okay, or it's going to be something else, okay, or what it's going to be okay. How did that? Okay, wait a minute. That is going there, so it should be identified there, because you're doing an and here. Is it because it's getting, no, access is, what the what? That's the if, okay. You'd think this would be easier than what I just did. If the access identifier is RockRepository, and the name is this, then we want to keep the invocation. But why is that barking? And why do you have a squiggle under rock? Parentheses can be removed. But I want it to be, it has to be rock and this, or it's going to be RockRepository. And I don't get why it's barking. Should be a generic name access. I guess we could just pull that out and not do it here either, because that would be the same thing. It should be a generic name syntax. But I do not understand why it is. Okay, fine. Remove unnecessary parentheses. But no, that's... Okay, I'm going to feel really stupid when I figure this out. Access identifier is this, and it's this. Or access identifier is this, and it's this. It has to be both of these. So why are you... Come on, really? That is that, or that is that. And then that comes up. Okay. I feel like this is like coding 101, and I have completely screwed it up, and I can't figure out why I'm doing this wrong. Why is that use of unassigned local variable access identifier? But it's done up here. It's okay here. It's not null here. It's not null here. Use of unassigned local variable access identifier. I have absolutely no idea why this is complaining so much. This doesn't make any sense. Fine, just split it up. If it's this, then we're going to go into another block, because now we need to pull this out, pull that in there. And now that's okay? Like how? This is a point where I'm going to come back in the video and go, yes, Jason, this is why you were a moron, because this should work. I'm really puzzled as to why that didn't work, but whatever, it works. Okay, so if it's rock and the text is rock create and it's rock repository, it's rock repository create, then we will add it to our invocations. Now, we go through all our candidates. Let's just see what it does. Rock creates symbol. Can't just be rock creates symbol. We are getting the type to mock, and I don't think we use the symbol afterwards. No, we don't. So we just get the type to mock out. Okay. And so what we could do here is say rock repository. Repository create symbol is get this where we say repository. Okay, so if it creates rock, which should be pretty much the default, or rock repository create symbol equals all this, then we get the type to mock. That will, in both cases, we're lucky because they're only going to take one generic argument, and that's the one we want. And then from that point on, I don't think we use get the configuration values, generate mapping, and the type to mock, the compilation assembly, the model configuration values, and the compilation. That's it. All we're going to do is generate everything for that type. So this should now work. Now, if I run all the tests, which I'm going to shut down and start up again because I want all the integration tests to work, which I should have, if I went up to my integration test, I should have something for rock repository, and I do. So what I want to do now is make sure I don't break anything. So we're going to shut this down. Okay. Then we're going to go and start it up again. Run all the tests and make sure that nothing breaks. If that happens, then I'm going to go into the rock repository tests and make sure that those don't break either. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this is because I know me, and I know that, oh, I shouldn't have screwed anything up. This should be just fine. blah, blah, blah. Actually, now that I think about it, what I probably have here is RockRepository. Finding we probably also want where RockRepository we create. Okay. So we're going to have here, I'm going to cry. Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit more verbosery. Using rocks. Well, no. Wait a minute. Receiver here is going to say, ooh, hold on. The access identifier name. Yeah, this is not going to, good thing I caught. See, this is why you write tests, buddy boy, because this ain't going to work exactly the way I think it should. What I want to do is actually find that this is on an object. Okay. And that the type of the target is RockRepository. Yeah, that sucks. So how am I going to do this? What I'm going to need to do is say, well, Jason, why don't you just write the damn code? Var repo is equal to new rock repository repo dot create my syntax receiver. Okay. Now, what does the syntax visualizer look like in this case? We have an invocation expression syntax. Okay. And its expression is it's going to be a member access expression. Yeah. Okay. And then that's expression is going to be an identifier name, and the other name is a generic name. Okay. But the problem is here in this case is that it can be a variable. It can be anything. You know, we don't care. What we actually care about is the thing that it's doing the access on is of a, yeah, it's of a right type. So we can't, the thing is here, we can't say access identifier here. Okay. Or it's just equal to create. This sucks because we can't say, well, it could be any create method. We've now opened ourselves up to a kind of a bigger sweep of anytime you have a create here, which, blah, I don't like this, but I don't think you can easily from the syntax. So there's no way in the receiver to get any kind of, you can't say syntax node, no, syntax node dot compilation. Like, where did it come from? Find root? Parent? Yeah, there may be a way that you can get the compilation, get to the semantic model, but I don't think so. But this is about the best we can do. We still have to then, though, in the create generator, say, well, we think we have something. So what we want to do is say, well, returns a method symbol that this method was constructed from. The resulting has the same containing type, if any, but has a type parameter is the same as the type parameter. Okay, why not? Invocation symbol. So this will tell you what's constructed from. The rock create symbol here is just saying, get me the method here. This is also a create symbol for rock. Yeah, so that should work. I think that should work. Okay. But that's right there. Okay, so what we need to do here, getting back to our test, and then I have to shut down and start up again, is doing this. But I'm going to stop recording here and then do another recording. later. I don't know, tonight, maybe. I have to run to the grocery store. So I'm going to do that. But maybe I'll do another quick episode. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.